More Apple news for you today. Let's get into the news. Welcome back to the channel. For regulars that watch my channel, you know the drill, but for new people, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to go through like 5 or 6 different specials of Apple products, what's on sale right now, the best specials you can pick up, and then I go through like 15 stories, roughly, give or take, of Apple-related stories about Apple products and services and everything Apple. So if you love Apple products and services, sit back and relax, pull up a chair, let's get into it, the Apple news, and we'll throw in some products in here as well. Let's go. All right, so for number 1, here we go. Mac Studio with the M2 Max and M2 Ultra are now available on the Apple Refurbished store. Is that big news? I wanted to check that out. So hear me out here. So I went into Apple Refurbished right here and I scrolled down and I saw that the cheapest one they're offering right now with the M2 chip in it, the Studios, is $28.89 right there. So I was like, well, geez, that's still kind of expensive, right? Here it is right here. You can see a picture of it. And it's $28.89, but it's got 32 gigs of RAM and 4 terabytes of storage for that cost. So I was like, is that a good deal or not? So what I did is I went over to, let me just see, the Apple normal store, not the Refurbished, but their normal store. And you can see that normally sells for $33.99, so almost $3,400. And on Apple Refurbished, if you go back over here, it's selling for, what is it over here? $28.89. So that's a great deal, obviously. So if you need 4 terabytes of storage in the Mac Studio, pick that one up. All right, product number 2. It says right now that the Apple Magic Keyboard with Numeric keypad, wireless, Bluetooth, obviously rechargeable. It's on sale for $97.49 on Amazon. I'll have a link to this in the video description. It's 24% off, so it used to be $129, $130, now it's $97.49. Not a bad deal there. And then if you want to get the one that's actually got the Touch ID as well, it's quite a bit more, but it's also on sale. It's $159 right now on Amazon, and that's usually $179. Still expensive for a keyboard, but it's on sale, so take it while you can get it and don't miss it. All right, the Apple Watch Series 9 is already on sale on Amazon. If we look over here, it says Apple Watch 9 series right here. This is the 41 millimeter, mind you. It's at $389, 10% off right now, usually $431. But since it just basically came out, that's a good special to pick up if you're looking for this. So if you've been thinking about it, now's the time to pull the trigger. All right, we got 2 more specials here. Look, this is actually a really good deal. So it's the Apple AirPods Pro 2nd Gen wireless earbuds. So here they are with the actual, I think it's the active noise cancellation, but it does have the upgraded case as well. So it's $199 right here, 20% off. It usually is $249 or $250 basically. So you're getting roughly $50 off right now. And this has got the lightning connection. Unfortunately, you can see it here, select the type of connection. If we click USB, let's see what happens here. We click on that and then it's $249. So it is the lightning, I guess. That's maybe one of the reasons why it's this. But anyways, a lot of people still have that lightning cable. Plus you can do the interchangeable. You can get the little connector. It's up to you. Still not a bad deal. And then finally for the products, and then we'll get into the stories. The late 2021 Apple MacBook Pro M1 chip right here, 14-inch, 16 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, so a great 1 terabyte. It's also renewed though. Keep this in mind, this is going to be through this is through actually the Amazon renewed store right here. So it's backed by Amazon. It's $13.89 right now, so look at that. And it's got, it says it's got a good rating, 4.5, so they've had good success with this in the past. And overall, you do your own research if this is right for you. It's not the Apple Store, obviously. But $13.89, even it says it's in excellent condition. And it does come with a 1 terabyte drive as well, which is really nice. So you can't go wrong if you want to do some video editing and things like that. So pick this up. All right, so let's get into the stories now. Now, the first couple ones are kind of concerning to me. You guys tell me if I'm right or wrong on this. It says Apple might be interested in college football playoff streaming rights deal, all right? So in here it says, according to a new report, Apple has held early talks with college football about it's the playoff, college football playoff at the end of the year where they want exclusive streaming rights. Now, I kind of want to explain this. Now, why does this concern me? Are you getting concerned now where you want to go watch your favorite sporting event out there and that's on some certain channel like Paramount and now it's on Prime, or you need a subscription to actually watch your favorite sport? If they do this with the college football now, this is going to be, I just don't like the way this is all going with, it's not just Apple, but it's a lot of different companies. And the next story here goes off the same vein here. It says right here, Apple considers huge bid for global Formula One streaming rights, all right? So now they're trying to get this as well. According to the report, this is by Business F1 magazine, Apple is eyeing Formula One as its next big sports investment. It would like to consider an offer worth around $2 billion per year, which would give it exclusive streaming rights to Formula One racing. So here we go again. Now they're going to have exclusive rights. They can kind of lock it behind, maybe like the MSL with watching Messi. You tell me, is this a good idea where the industry is going? I think it's bad. I mean, I know Apple's just doing it because they can, but at the end of the day, this is bad, isn't it? All right, this next one's a total rumor. This is actually on MacBook Rumors, Mac Rumors, and it says right here, Apple's preparing to release a 14-inch, or new 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros with more power-efficient LED displays before the year is out, all right? So take this with a grain of salt. We've said that they were, then they took it away, then they said it was. This is the only place saying it. Let me just see who this is. Digitimes, see it right here? So it's a new report by Digitimes. And if we kind of go in here, it says, it says, let me just see here. Having said that, Mac Rumors received information earlier this week that indicates that Apple will likely begin accepting some of its latest Mac models for trade-in. And that's a key there. So Mac Rumors got that, and they figured if they're going to start offering stuff for trade-in, that usually means that the new models are they're coming in very soon, basically. So that's kind of what they're going off here, that the trade-in process, if it's starting, they think that these are going to be coming out soon. A lot of these other people don't think they are, so take it with a grain of salt. But supposedly they have better screens, and we'll get into that in the next article here. So if you see right here, 2024 MacBook Pro battery life is to be boosted by more efficient displays. So what does this mean? So in here it's kind of interesting. It says Apple's expected to ship new 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro devices in the fourth quarter, it says, with mini LED backlighting that can increase the display brightness by 10% when compared to first generation models. So 10% is not a lot, but it's enough, I think, to make it justified to do this. But it says the brightness enhancement is not meant to improve picture quality, but rather save power and improve battery life. It says by adding the new devices, we'll start shipping in the fourth quarter of 2023. So they're saying it as well. It's interesting, I think. It says, let me just see. While Apple could utilize the extra power boost, it says the company is instead reported to be dialing down the power to retain the same level of brightness as today's models. So less power, about the same brightness, even though it can reach 10% more. Anyways, all that's good news if it comes out this year. All right, for all those people that don't know, I get this question all the time, and I'm going to do a video on this one day, but let me take a look over here. It says macOS Sonoma, brand new one, can be installed on 83 different unsupported Macs with this tool. And I think most people know this by now. This is OpenCore Legacy Patcher has been released, allowing a number of Macs that don't officially support macOS Sonoma. So basically this means you can actually, with all your older devices, or I'll get into that in a second, put Sonoma on it, get the security updates and everything else, and it works pretty flawlessly. I'll have to do a video on it. I'm not affiliated with them or anything like that. But if you scroll down here, it says right in here, list of models that can use OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.0.0 to run macOS Sonoma include, and you can see here, 2008 to 2019 MacBooks, the Airs all the way to 2009, the Pros all the way to 2008. I mean, the iMacs all the way to 2007. It's crazy like how this thing works and how efficient it is and actually how well it works. So maybe we'll do a video on that, but anyways, check it out. It's basically just look up OpenCore Legacy Patcher, and it's a great thing to do for old Macs, especially like this one. All right, some good news if you're a basketball arcade fan, I guess. Over here it says NBA 2K24 is coming out on Apple Arcade, which is cool. I played the previous one. It's actually really good. And also it's coming out as Cut the Rope 3, if you like that game. And what else is coming out? Jeopardy World Tour as well. So 3 new games there, which are really cool games. I guess Crossword Jam is a crossword puzzle game. Big deal with that. But overall, I think this is a good addition to the arcade for, I think it's like $5.99. All right, just some news more about Apple. Tim Cook offloads over 500,000 of Apple shares, pocketing $41 million. I wish I had that. He says down here he offloaded 511,000 shares of Apple stock, 41.5 million. But is that a lot of his money? No, it says even after this, Cook owns 3.3 more million shares of Apple stock. Can you imagine? Estimated at $565 million. Anyways, who knows why he's doing it? Maybe to go buy another house or another yacht. All right, so every time I do this kind of series here, I always have a China story, and it's never the best, I guess, story that there is, right? So here we have another one. Apple bows to China, starts enforcing App Store rules. So Apple's beginning requiring new apps to have a license from the Chinese government before they can be added to the App Store. China announced its new app law in August 2023, just a month or two ago. So here we go. Apple's providing this law, and saying that they have to do this, and then Apple kind of bows down to them. It's not the best thing, and I always think, what could go wrong with this? It says, previously it's been believed that China implemented the new law specifically so that it could crack down on social media. So who knows what's going to happen out of this, and I don't know, I guess they're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, but I think it's all going to end bad. Anything with this in China, I just don't see it ending well. All right, this is kind of a cool report, although it's kind of weird how they do it. So it says Apple says it supports over 500,000 jobs in the UK. Now I don't know how many, I don't know what their population is, but it's like 70 million or somewhere around there. So that's a lot of jobs if that's actually true. It says from office, to retail staff, to suppliers, to developers, Apple claims 550,000 jobs in the UK. Can you imagine? Just from one company. But then, it's kind of like down here, it says the company also counts its investment in Apple TV Plus production. Shows like Slow Horses are made in the UK. So it's kind of saying, oh, Apple TV produces shows. Those shows actually have all the cast members plus all the people that create the show. So all these people are getting added, but still 550,000 jobs out of, I don't know how many workers, maybe half of those people work in the UK because the other half are, young children and old people. So who knows? That's still a lot of jobs and still pretty impressive. All right, this is a funny story, or kind of a sad one too. It says almost half of the TSMC Arizona plant hires are from Taiwan. Full expansion unlikely. So it says when Apple chip maker was granted the federal subsidies, that building the first U.S. plant, creating jobs for American workers, was one of the key arguments. All right, so it basically goes on to say that initially when they built it, like 50% of the workers that were doing the construction, because they knew what to do, were from Taiwan. But then they were supposed to get rid of those people, and then they basically were supposed to bring in all American workers, all right? So that's not good. But then down here it says TSMC has already hired more than 22 of the 4,500 staff it plans to employ there once the two fabs are actually in production. So it says, but almost half of those are hired from people from Taiwan. So here we go again. It's supposed to be American jobs, and now they have half of them from Taiwan because we can't do those jobs, I guess, because they're too specific. Long story short, they got the federal subsidies for this, but they're not giving them to Americans for the jobs. What could go wrong with this too? I see this as being, I guess it gives them a little leeway as far as, obviously, again, China, Taiwan things going on, the tensions there. But overall, I just don't like the way this turned out. All right, the next story, I have to do one kind of non-Apple related, but everyone that has Apple usually has this. So it says Netflix prices increase coming when ongoing actor strikes ends. So it's basically saying, this is reported, let me just see here, down here it says, the Wall Street Journal reports that Netflix is planning to increase the prices once the ongoing Hollywood actor strikes comes to an end within a couple months. It says that Netflix increased its prices, I think last year, from $13.99 to $15.99, and they took some stuff away. Now they're going to do it again because now there's a strike with the actors. They need to pay them more money. So now here we all get hit with getting charged more money. It just goes around and around. All right, this next story, it says right here, inspiring iPhone 15 Pro, cinematic video shows the full capabilities of the device. So there's one guy in here, his name's Joey Helms right here. He created a stunning example of the video capabilities of the iPhone 14 last year, and he's done it again with the 15. He goes on to say shooting in log image profile is by far the biggest improvement because it lets you basically change the colors later and have a much larger dynamic range when you shoot with Apple, an Apple phone basically. So we're talking the Apple phone shooting a motion picture, right? So down here, I'm not going to get into much. You can find it here on 9to5 Mac, but long story short, he has a video in here, and you can see it in here. It says shot on an iPhone, so it's based in Chicago. The funny thing is here it is. You can see I'm not going to zoom in too much on it because I don't want to get a copyright strike, but you can check it out. It's really kind of an interesting video that you can do on an iPhone like that. And I read through the whole article. I thought it was very impressive. But the most impressive thing is he filmed the entire thing with his iPhone, like this basically, in Chicago. And he actually survived the whole week of shooting without someone stealing it. That's probably the biggest thing to take away from this, and the biggest, I guess, I'm just like, wow, that actually is pretty surprising to me. I live around Chicago, so I know. All right, so the next story is interesting as well. It says DuckDuckGo could have been Apple's private search engine. It says private search engine DuckDuckGo could have been the default for private browsing on Safari, but talks allegedly fell through under the might of Google's influence. So Google's actually paying Apple, or to have that on their phones, as or Google being the main search engine. There's like a lawsuit going on, but Apple is looking for alternatives, or they did, and they were thinking about DuckDuckGo just in private mode to kind of mix up everything, just to give them a little bit more, saying, hey, well, in private mode, everyone uses DuckDuckGo, so we're not only using Google. Anyways, long story short, this is kind of a cool article. I like DuckDuckGo, and I wish they would have won this one. All right, and then finally, let's wrap this up. It says Apple's release of iOS 17.03 with a fix for the iPhone 15 heating issue. So everyone knows it's getting hot on the iPhone 15, and there's a fix that Apple came out with, so you want to upgrade to the newest and greatest iOS there. So anyways, long story short, the next article that came out is, does this new 17.0.3 slow down the iPhone 15? Is it like slowing it down to get the cooling down? Nobody knows, right? Well, this article kind of addresses it. This is from 9to5 Mac. So this person in here, they tested it. So they did an initial test, single core, it was 2914. Then they actually put the new thing on, the software, and it went down a little bit to 2875. See it down here for single core? So it did go down, but that was right after they did the install and the phone was still hot. Then they go on to say that after waiting 2 hours for everything to cool down, they did it again and they got 2941, which is actually higher than the original. So long story short, even the multi-core went up a little bit. So they're thinking this has nothing to, they did not slow anything down. They don't think Apple would be that dumb to do it. People would catch it. In fact, if anything, it went up a little bit, but we don't think that. We just think it's margin of error. So long story short, it shouldn't have anything to do. So get that new update on your phone and help with the heating. All right, we're going to wrap this up. This is a long one again. I hope everyone likes these videos. Please subscribe and post some comments. Helps the channel out. And we will talk to you in the next video. I make hundreds of them. Peace.